There's been times when I've really liked Pierre Poilievre. And to be fair, he's said some great things and done some great things in the past. Same with the Conservative Party of Canada as a whole. But ever since the trucker convoy, that dark time of the trucker convoy, ever since then, I can see that this Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre is not the person who's actually trying to turn this country around. Not at all. Politics is about a lot more than just elections. And just getting Trudeau out is not going to solve the problems, the deep rooted problems that we're facing in this country. Because politics is also about culture. It's about values. It's about the future vision of the country that we want. Tonight, I'm going to show you why applying pressure to Pierre Poilievre in this Conservative Party and calling out their cowardice is a superior strategy to turn this country around than just sitting back and accepting that they're going to be cowards. The conversation starts now.
I promise you, I will not let you down.
The trucks parked outside illegally should move.
Canada's Conservatives will meet our Paris climate commitment.
Enough with the woke. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I take that back.
To champion our conservative principles.
We are the party of law and order.
To call in the auditors.
We haven't yet decided whether we're going to call for the government to impose a mandatory test or vaccination.
And we will win the next election. Canada must not ignore the reality of climate change.
Why weren't Canadians vaccinated in January and February like everyone else?
Welcome, everybody, to Control the Opposition, episode 25. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks. It's good to be back. It's good to be back live streaming. And there's a lot that I want to talk about. But it's not going to be tonight because there's this whole documentary that came out called The End of Free Speech in Canada. And it mentions Jordan Peterson. It mentioned a nurse, Ham, I think her last name is. It mentioned a comedian who got fined. It mentioned a few other people. But it mentioned no one from the trucker convoy. It mentioned no one at all that got criminally charged, these trumped up political charges, for being at the trucker convoy. This is a documentary about free speech by Aaron Gunn. And they didn't mention any of the political dissidents. They didn't mention Artur Pawlowski, who got thrown in jail and said that he was destroying infrastructure for delivering a sermon. That wasn't mentioned in this documentary about free speech. And of course, Jeremy McKenzie and his crazy legal debacles was not mentioned either, along with frozen bank accounts at the trucker convoy. This is related to free speech. It was completely omitted from this documentary. And it really feels like they're starting to gatekeep out the dissidents that they don't like out of the, the neocon, the mainstream conservative conversation. It's very, very alarming. But that's not what tonight is about. I just wanted to kind of vent a little bit about that because it's super relevant to the show and it really grinds my gears. But I might actually do a separate video for that because I think it really needs to be spelt out how it seems that certain individuals are intentionally controlling and gatekeeping the conversation to say, no, free speech is just about Jordan Peterson, this millionaire psychologist. It has nothing to do with, doctors who got their licenses taken away for, treating the cough properly. I'm afraid to say the C word now because it might be coming back. I don't know if YouTube is going to be preemptively bringing the filters back. But anyway, tonight, I want to answer the question why I do not support Pierre Poilievre. Obviously, if you've been watching this podcast, you know that the entire show is all about that topic, but I wanted to create a very kind of short and simple show with a visual aid, just clearly explaining why applying pressure to Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party is the superior strategy to actually turning this country around. Okay? So let's just get right into it. This is going to be a lot of fun. Here we have it, folks. Here we have it. This is the big visual aid for the night. And I worked very hard on this. But essentially, this is the political conversation. This is the political playfield, okay? This is the left wing over here. This is the right wing over here. Pretty self-explanatory, but to give you an idea, what's on the left wing? On the left wing, we have progress. We have mass migration, of course. We have globalism on the left wing. You can see the United Nations thing there. We have the establishment. We have, what do they worship on the left wing at the bottom there? They worship trannies, BIPOC, and migrants. This is who they worship on the left wing of the spectrum. On the right wing of the spectrum, that's more my side that I'm kind of rooting for. We have family values. We have Canada first. We have nationalism. Okay. We have the people instead of the establishment. Okay. And what do we worship? Hopefully some sort of God. We worship veterans and history. Of course, like, I don't want to be blasphemous and like saying worshiping veterans, but if there's any group of people that our side should put above everybody else, it's veterans. It's Canadian veterans. I feel like they have earned the right more than anyone else. By the way, speaking of veterans, big friend of the show is Jeremy McKenzie. He got another one of his charges dropped today. So big shout outs for Jeremy McKenzie. Put a JM in the chat for Jeremy McKenzie. We love him. He got another one of his charges dropped today. Vindicated once again. And there's only going to be more of that coming up. Anyway, back to the visual here. So this is the playfield, hey? Oh, I guess you couldn't see that. But yeah, that's who we worship. God, veterans, and also our own history. We try to honor, maybe I should say honor. We honor God, we honor veterans, we honor history. While the other side honors BIPOC, trannies, and migrants. And so let's just get into this. I'm going to start with Mr. Trudeau here, okay? Let's start with Mr. Trudeau. We all know Mr. Trudeau. Let's talk about what he did when he first came in to the field of politics. Okay, let's just put him in the middle for simplicity's sake. Okay, he first came on the stage and he said, "Hey, election reform." He got everyone's attention. He said, "Hey, election reform. Hey, that sounds pretty interesting. That sounds pretty interesting." And then he said, "We're going to legalize weed." And people were like, "Wow, legalize weed." So obviously, if you're legalizing weed, that was a pretty appealing thing to most normies. But you're obviously moving down this way on the field. And I want to mention, when you're a politician, how do you move the ball down the field? Okay, how do you move it one way or the other? You can't. It's not a physical sport, politics. They say it's a blood sport, but you use your words. You use your words. These little word bubbles are like the most valuable thing you have as a politician. That's basically what you say. Obviously, what you do and how you present yourself is very important as well, and that's kind of part of the same thing. But also, the legislation that you actually push forward. But the word bubbles is basically the biggest part. What do politicians do? They talk. So what you say is so important in terms of garnering support and moving the ball down the field. Now, he gets elected. What's one of the first things he says? He says, "I'm a big feminist," because it's 2015. So already he's elected. He's carrying the ball down the field already. Another thing, he's like, "Hey, I love immigrants. Love immigrants." This is his whole thing. Immigrants. Again, inching it down further down the field. And, he's also says, I'm basically gay. He doesn't say that he's basically gay, but I love gay people. That's Trudeau's all about loving gay people. We all know this. And here's the a very, very important part of this. Okay. What you say moves the ball down the field, but the ball is kind of, have you heard of the Overton window? I'll explain the Overton window if you guys haven't heard about this. This is the Overton window. And in many ways, the ball that you're moving down the field that's what the Overton window revolves around. And what the Overton window represents is all of the publicly acceptable speech, all of the publicly acceptable political views that you're allowed to have in society. Okay? Because when it started here, when Trudeau was like in the middle here, okay? When Trudeau was back in the middle here, he wasn't saying I'm basically gay. He wasn't being so like totally hard. Maybe he was actually. But my point is like, at the time, if you're a conservative politician and you're on the field, you're probably over here. Let me get this. bring Poilievre on here. So Poilievre, for now, ignore Poilievre and just imagine that it's just the conservative symbol. If you're a conservative back when Trudeau's getting in, you might have been able to say something like, hey, you might be able to be over here of, hey, actually, I don't know. I'm hoping this is going to make it easier to explain and not harder. But anyway, we're going to do this. All right, just give me a second here. So maybe when Trudeau came in, there could be conservatives right here and saying, hey, you know what? I actually oppose gay marriage, right? I oppose gay marriage. But as Trudeau marches down the field saying all of these things about, hey, I'm gay, I love immigrants, all this stuff. As he marches down the field, boom, boom, boom. Oh my God, you see that? The Overton window moves. And all of a sudden, opposing gay marriage is off the table. That's not something that is in the popular conversation anymore because he's moved the Overton window. He's moved the ball. That is completely off the table. Okay, you see how that works? This is a very, if you want to understand, how politics works and why I don't support Pierre Poilievre, like this is very important stuff to know. This is how you actually move the needle in politics. And yeah, so let's continue. Let's continue with the Trudeau train. Where has his been? I'm basically gay. Another thing he's very popular for saying, basically saying, fuck veterans, right? This guy is dissing one of our big time values on the right wing, veterans. Okay, we love our veterans on the right wing, and this guy is already, because he's so far down the field. He's basically saying, you know what, fuck those guys over there. I don't even like what they support whatsoever, And it boom moves it even. He's almost at a touchdown here. Okay, he's almost in the end zone, and it's only gotten worse. We know with Trudeau, post national state, right? Our history's racist. Basically, these are things that he has said. That moves the ball down the field, okay? It moves it down the field further and further. And let's bring our other friend in here as well. He's actually got another teammate. You know the teammate. You know Jughead. We know Jag Meat. He's also on the field. And guess what? They basically work together because he's even further down the field. He's even further. And what's he saying? He's saying socialism, basically socialism. And they're just getting that ball down the field together. They're working together. They're crushing it, guys. They're crushing it. We know this. And the ball is going further and further and further. And let's move into the COVID era now. We're moving chronologically of what's been happening. Okay. What did Jag Meat say around COVID? He said something like this. He said. He's also obviously said all white right-wingers are racist. He also said Canada's history is genocide. He's also said right-wingers are dangerous. He basically implied that, hey, if you know a right-winger, they're probably going to get you COVID, you're going to die or whatever. Like he essentially one time said that, okay? Again, saying stuff like this pushes the ball down the field. It gets everyone's popular idea of what's okay to say further to the left, further towards the United Nations. And I got to emphasize the major consequence of being this far down the field is they can get away with saying things like basically white people suck, like what Trudeau is saying. He basically says fuck veterans. He basically says, hey, your side that you guys honor that, yeah, screw you guys. I don't like old stock Canadians. I think they suck, right? So we're getting crushed out there. We're getting absolutely creamed out there. And so let's go into the COVID era. Unvaxxed people are bad. Okay. Actually, maybe let's take a quick detour here. Should I take it? Yeah, let's take a quick detour here. And just to show kind of like a recent example of a clip that happened today from Pierre Poilievre that's going to kind of help illuminate this point I'm trying to make here. He said something about how, hey, we're not angry. We're not angry. Okay, we're not angry. That sounds great, Pierre. Let's hear what he had to say today. This was yesterday, I think. People aren't angry, Justin. They're hurting.
The minister says that you're making people angry. Do Canadians need help making people angry?
Justin Trudeau is worried that people are angry.
People are angry.
You know what I worry about? I worry about the nurse living in her van.
What about the unvaccinated nurses who still aren't back to work?
After 8 years of Trudeau. I worry about the tent cities that never existed before he was Prime Minister.
What about the lockdowns that really accelerated drug addiction and, the economic decay that your party supported?
But now we see every single city in Canada. I worry about the 30,000 families that have lost loved ones to drug overdoses because of the hopeless economy and situation in which they find themselves.
How many people were lost from vaccine injuries? A topic you don't even want to talk about anyway.
You know what I found, interestingly?
What'd you find?
I hold these rallies, and I invite every single person at every single rally to come and shake my hand. People aren't angry. They are.
What? You haven't met one person with the fuck Trudeau flag? This guy is just lying. He's just lying to try and make it sound good. And people, the major excuse that I'll go over, because I'll bring it up in the diagram, but essentially people are always saying, the media. As an example, hey, are people angry, Pierre? Yes, people are very angry at Justin Trudeau. He was freezing bank accounts during the trucker convoy. He's completely disregarded people who think like me, regular conservatives. He's flooding people into our country and sending millions of dollars to Ukraine while there's people who are desperately in need here. Obviously, there's so many ways to answer this and to actually champion your side and to fight back and to move the ball down the field. Okay. What I just gave was not even a good example, but to give you an example of someone who's actually good at moving the ball down the field, let's bring our number one enemy onto the screen. Okay. And I'll read the tweet as well, which is, left or right, people want a strong leader that validates how they're feeling. Trudeau taps into people's fear and anger every chance he gets, using it to vilify his ideological opponents. Make all the excuses you want about Trudeau, but he's winning using this strategy. Okay, this is a compilation of different Trudeau clips.
When people see that we're in lockdowns or serious public health restrictions right now because the risk posed to all of us by unvaccinated people get angry.
So the folks out there tonight shouting, the anti-vaxxers, they're wrong. They are wrong about how we get through this pandemic. Everyone needs to get vaccinated, and those people are putting us all at risk.
People get angry.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
People get angry.
If anyone who doesn't have a legitimate medical reason.
All right, you've seen this one. And then, of course, at the end.
Dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi, c'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que.
Right. So the point here is Trudeau is vilifying us. Trudeau is basically saying, let's go back to the diagram. Trudeau is basically saying, hey, Trudeau's basically saying conservatives are subhuman. The unvaxxed are bad people. That's a very aggressive thing to push the ball down the field. And then what is Pierre Poilievre saying? Pierre Poilievre saying, we're not angry. We're just disappointed. It's like this dude is, it's gotten so bad in this country. Just to drive the point home, it's funny, haha, double standards, but it's actually even past that. Watch this clip from TikTok. You remember the story of the principal who recently, killed himself, took his own life. And he was somebody who was trying to fight against the critical race theory, right? Here's an example of how a leftist is kind of reacting to this news of someone killing themselves.
I'm sure you heard about the Toronto principal who took his own life after being accused of being a racist, but have you ever considered that maybe the accusations are correct and I have evidence? This is a touch.
So basically, it's like, hey, did my ideological opponent kill himself? It's okay, actually, because he's racist. It's actually okay because he's racist. Like, the double standards have gotten so bad where Trudeau has pushed the ball so far down the field with the help of the leftist establishment, with the help of a whole bunch of other people behind the scenes, I'm sure, from the United Nations and who knows where else. So it's gotten to the point where people on TikTok are like, yeah, this guy killed himself, but like he was racist, so it's okay that he died. It's okay that he died. That's where we're at. Okay. Like that's how far the ball is down the field. And then what does Pierre Poilievre have to say to fight for us to try and get the ball moving in the other direction? People aren't angry. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This guy is the total joke. But people are going to say, no, Greg, there's no other option. There's no other option. There's no other option. Wrong. There is another option, because let's go back here. Let's get the word bubbles out of the way so they don't distract us. There's the ball. Okay, let's get rid of Jagmeet too. There's the ball. It's the pandemic. Things are dark. Okay, there's the Toronto Star headline that says, "Hey, I don't care if you're unvaxxed. You can just die anyway." Rest in peace to an unvaccinated person, by the way, just recently, who couldn't get a organ transplant. Another thing that Pierre Poilievre does not want to talk about. Another example of how people are literally dying out here who share our values. And he's like, people aren't angry. People are dying who share our values basically because of their values. And Pierre Poilievre is saying, people aren't angry. I want you to be angry. I want you to speak to our anger and our fear, because we should be scared and afraid of what's going on here, or at least concerned, and we don't need this. It's so terrible what this guy is doing just by saying, oh, hey, we're not angry. Oh, you feel angry? Yeah, don't be angry. Just feel like a helpless victim. Well, people who think like you kill themselves, people who are unvaccinated die from not getting an organ transplant. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Things are just going to get worse. But anyway, major point here. Major important point here. Because people say, oh, well, how do we move the ball down the field? Poilievre's the only guy in the field. Wrong. Poilievre is the only person who is positioned to maybe become prime minister in the next election. We don't know when the next election is going to be, and I'll get on that actually later, but there are other people on the field, okay? There are definitely other people on the field. And what happened during the trucker convoy? Trucker convoy happens, okay? And guess what? Oh, wait. The trucker convoy happened and said, hey, fuck the establishment and these fucking mandates. And then this is what happened. The ball went like this. Whoa. Oh my God. The convoy took the ball this way. Huge. Oh my God. Look at all the fucking ground they made. A bunch of blue collar workers. Shout out to the fucking trucker convoy, by the way. Tease in chat for the trucker convoy. We love the fucking trucker convoy. We need to bring the energy of the trucker convoy fucking back. Okay. The trucker convoy brought the ball so far down the field. Okay, very far down the field. And I want to say, by the way, I should bring up Bernier as well. Because Bernier, before the trucker convoy, like back in 2019, Bernier got on the field and he helped try to budge the Overton window back to the right as well. He showed up and he said, boom, stop mass migration. At the time, the ball was maybe more over here. But Bernier showed up and said, hey, Bernier showed up and said, hey, stop mass migration. And people were like, whoa, you can't say that. You're not allowed to say that. And Bernier's like, I don't care. And the ball started to move this way. And most importantly, Bernier showed up by Bernier showing up and doing these things. He creates space of the Overton window to move this way. To even oppose mass migration, like, was hardly even a thing that you would do. What else was he talking about? No foreign aid. End multiculturalism. Most important one, fuck globalism. Wow. There's Bernier saying, hey, basically what you guys worship down here or down here. Yeah. Yeah. Screw that. We don't like that. We're going this way. Sorry, it's reversed for me. We're going this way. Right? And let's face it, folks. Let's get rid of the Overton window for a second. Let's face it. What has Pierre, the Pierre that we have today, like, is there anything that Pierre, is there a difference between what has been popular about the PPC and what Pierre tries to capitalize off of now? Obviously, he doesn't say fuck globalism, but he says the same things like CBC is bias. The CBC is bias. Defund the CBC. That was a phrase from the PPC. That was a phrase from Maxime Bernier, essentially. And the only reason that Pierre actually came out here with rhetoric that's saying CBC is bias is because of Maxime Bernier. Okay? That's how the ball has moved further right. It's thanks to people outside of Pierre Poilievre. And this is the whole point of why I don't support this guy. Because by supporting this guy, nothing happens. Supporting this guy, nothing happens. We just drift back to the left. By supporting someone like the PPC, like Maxime Bernier, like the Trucker Convoy, or like our good old friend, Jeremy McKenzie and Diagolon, who's probably even further right. He's down here. He's in the end zone, basically. It puts pressure on Pierre. It puts pressure on Pierre to try and actually start moving the ball down the field. You should actually start making some moves, Pierre, because there's people out here who are stealing your support. There's people out here who are stealing your support. Are you gonna move the ball down this way? Because if we don't apply that pressure by, having more people gravitate towards Max Bernier, the Jeremy McKenzies of the world, and things that are further right, then the ball just goes this way. The ball just keeps going closer and closer to the end zone. Nothing happens. Nothing happens by just saying, oh, I'm going to support Pierre Poilievre. Nothing happens. But I do want to really emphasize what happened since the convoy, because it's very, very important. And it really speaks to why Pierre is definitely not our guy at all. And let's go over that, because that's super important. So let's get rid of Jeremy for now and bring in the truck again. Okay. So the trucker convoy got all this momentum, brought the Overton window with it. Cause they really did, opposing mandates, opposing the vaccine passports, opposing the mask mandates. Basically, the second that the convoy was obviously something large, there were conservative premiers who started to make moves. They started to repeal things. Like, right away, this happened. The effect was immediate because they saw, wow, this is a popular sentiment. Again, the Overton window effect. It's like, okay, there's people who are actually gravitating towards this further right. It's not even a further right thing to not have mandates, by the way, but it's because the convoy brought it in this direction that it gave permission to establishment conservatives to actually say, okay, I guess I'll support you guys. I guess we'll, adopt these policies that you guys are talking about. And then this is when Pierre showed up, right? This is when Pierre showed up and was like, oh my God, although I've been supporting lockdowns this whole time, and as the intro of if you watch the intro of the show, there's a clip that I have of Pierre saying, why don't we get vaccines quicker? We need more vaccines. He was all for the vaccines. He was all for the lockdowns, but because the ball is this way down the field, he's like, okay, all right, I'm going to run all the way over here. And then what does he say? Hey guys, I support the convoy. I actually support the convoy. I'm going to take some pictures with you guys. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, he's totally our guy. He's totally our guy, right? The trucker convoy ends. And because Trudeau is a massive tyrant, right? And let's talk about that for a second. Right after the convoy, you got Pierre Poilievre. He's right there at the 40-yard line. He's finally into our zone. He's finally into the zone closer to our touchdown. Like, we're actually putting some pressure on the leftist establishment for the first time in probably ever since I've been alive, it feels like. And like, we're there at the center field, right? And what is he like? He could have done so much. I'm just going to do it right now. He could have said stuff like this. He could have said Trudeau is a tyrant. He could have said many things. He could have said, you know what? He could have said, you're a disgrace to democracy. You know who said that? You know who said that? You guys probably know who said that. Christine Anderson said that. He could have said, you're a disgrace to democracy. He could have said, you're dehumanizing this group of people. And if he would have done that, if he would have continued to vilify and just vilify Justin Trudeau, he could have moved. The ball would have kept moving this way, guys. Actually, you know what? While I'm at it, he could have said, while we're actually down here, Trudeau, you're obviously a terrible leader. Everyone knows that. Everyone knew that during the trucker convoy. But instead of applying more pressure, he didn't do that. But he could have said things like, hey, family first. He could have said, hey, there's only two genders. He could have kept that momentum moving and really just destroyed Trudeau completely. But what did happen, guys? What did happen? He said, I support the convoy. He said, hey, I support James Topp. Oh, how do we get rid of that? Whoops. I support James Topp. He said that as well. And then slowly but surely, do you remember what happened? It happened slowly but surely, but this is like really important. Slowly but surely, ever since the convoy, Mr. Poilievre then said, the price of milk. You know what? The price of milk was also very important. And as a conservative, you might think, okay, yeah, he's being a conservative. That's what conservatives do, right? They talk about the price of milk. Sure enough. Sure. But unfortunately, more and more his talking phrases have been like, Trudeau is bad. Trudeau is bad is one thing, but it's not championing what's over here, right? It's not talking about the people. It's not talking about veterans or history or God or nationalism or putting Canada first. It's just saying, hey, that guy sucks. Hey, that guy sucks over there. That guy's terrible. But unfortunately, slowly but surely, he's been saying a lot of things like, I love Ukraine, which is a NATO thing, which is an establishment thing, which is a United Nations thing. He's done a lot of this. He's done a lot of, I love immigrants. He's been doing the exact same thing that Trudeau does. He's been, and of course, every now and then he'll say something like, hey, the economy sucks, guys, or like, hey, inflation, or like, hey, crime is bad. But then all of a sudden he'll be like, yeah, carbon zero future. Also carbon zero future. Okay, I'm not sure why you're talking about carbon zero future. The price of milk. He'll be like, I love Iran. I love Iran, like it's not a Canada first thing at all. And then he'll say something like, we need migrants faster. We need migrants faster, actually. We need a blue seal program to get more migrants into the country. Okay, that's, it's, and you see what's happened? Now we're back in their end. What happened to the convoy? The convoy was way down here in our end. But slowly but surely, this guy, Pierre Poilievre, has snuck the ball back. He's snuck the ball back into enemy territory. He's gone slowly but surely ever since the convoy. And now the ball's, honestly, it seems even like it's even further. It seems like it's even further, like right back to where we were before. Because the statements that he says that are like exciting are just PPC statements, and they feel very forced. And they feel like it's just sort of like a distraction. It's a misdirection of like, no, guys, I'm running the other direction. I'm running back that way. I swear I'm running back that way, guys. I don't buy it. I don't buy it whatsoever. And the fact that it's this far down in the field is just like, it's just not looking good. It's not looking good. Also, he's never actually said trans women are women verbatim, but he has had many of his MPs supporting transgenderism, talking about transgenderism. He doesn't oppose transgenderism. He doesn't want to talk about transgenderism, you know, and this is the disturbing thing. This is why, again, I don't want to support this guy, because when it comes to mass migration, when it comes to, let me bring up the line again. When it comes to, remember this line here? So, if this is like the acceptable line of there only being two genders, okay, and that's where it is on the field, it should probably be in the middle or something. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. As the Overton window keeps moving this way, with thanks to Pierre Poilievre not even opposing the transgender ideology, that whole thing of even talking about that, it's like off the table now. It's fading away from popular discourse, right? And sure, there's people around Pierre who will like say, no, he supports that stuff, and it's like, well, why doesn't he just say it? Why doesn't he actually say stuff to kick the ball down the field? Because he's not fighting for us. He's not actually trying to win. Okay, he's not trying to win. It's very, very obvious he's not trying to win. And yeah, so let's kind of wrap it up here. Actually, this is a good point. This is going to kind of be the closing point here. Let's get rid of the liberal. Let's move him this way. Let him move this way. Actually, yeah, I'll leave that till the end. So you have Pierre Poilievre here with the misdirection. I'm not WEF, but we need migrants faster though. We need migrants faster. We need more affordable globalism is essentially what I think he's selling. But the reason I do not support Pierre Poilievre is because he is not moving the ball in the right direction. He is not moving the ball in the right direction. Whereas supporting somebody like Maxime Bernier, supporting somebody like Maxime Bernier is going to move the Overton window. It's more likely to get the ball moving this way, back towards simplicity of there only being two genders, for example. Okay, back to stop mass migration, for example. Okay, it is by supporting Max Bernier and saying, I don't care about this guy, Pierre Poilievre, it puts pressure on the establishment to have this ball get moved, because the ball follows popular sentiment. Okay, the Overton window is popular sentiment. All right, and if we reject this weak version of conservatism that's offered from Pierre Poilievre, and we say, you know what, we want to move the ball this way. I don't even like you anymore. I'm going to support anything outside of you. It moves the ball this way. And a great example is Billboard Chris, who is a activist, if you don't know, who is all about supporting, opposing transgenderism for kids specifically. And he is a very, very popular activist at this point. Someone like Josh Alexander as well. And I believe this September, there's a big protest coming up called like a 1 million person march. And I believe there's even going to be a bunch of Muslim Canadians involved who are opposing transgenderism in schools, or whatever it is. I might be butchering it, but it's something like that that's coming down the pipe. And I would not be surprised if, because it has popular sentiment, it's going to move this ball towards the only two genders line. And then I bet the same thing is going to happen, guys. I bet the same thing is going to happen where, oh, okay, only two genders is part of the Overton window now because something like the trucker convoy showed up, except it was for opposing transgenderism school. And guess what's going to happen? The same thing is going to happen. Pierre Poilievre is going to show up. He's going to come back down the field and say, actually, you know what, guys? You know what? He's going to start saying it. He'll start saying it not because he wanted to, not because it's what he believes, but because the ball was going too far down the field and he's an establishment person and he's going to come down the field and say, actually, you know what, guys? I'm going to say only two genders too. And then he's like, I'll take that. And then he starts to move down the field again, saying the things that you want to hear. Hey, I'm not WEF. Hey, we need migrants faster. Hey, Trudeau bad. Hey, the price of milk. And then he's taking the ball back to his end, right? We need to, but the point is it wouldn't be a good thing, but the fact that he came down here to pick up the ball and say, hey, there's only two genders, that would be a good thing. Because he would actually say the right thing. He would say the right thing. Like I said, it's a powerful thing for a politician to actually say the right thing. But guess what? How did Pierre get down here, guys? Did Pierre say, hey, I want to start opposing transgenderism? Did he say, hey, I'm going to do this on my own volition? No, it was the pressure from the further right people like Bernier, like the trucker convoy. That pressure actually made his butt move. That pressure outside of the Conservative Party, outside of supporting Pierre Poilievre, made his butt move. And that is why I do not support Pierre Poilievre. It does absolutely nothing. It does nothing. And a lot of people, I'll address like the major excuses that people like to give this guy, which is, well, the media is going to attack him. The media is going to attack him. He has to do this to win. Where do you think the media is on the field, guys? Where do you think the media is on the field? It's pretty freaking obvious where the media is on the field. Okay. The media is down here. You know where the media is? The media is exactly where Trudeau is because he pays the media. And I was going to make this visual, but I wish I would have. But essentially, the media pretends to be the referee. The media is on the sideline pretending to be the referee. But they're not the referee, okay? They just follow the ball around and say, no, we got to keep moving this way. We got to keep moving that way. But it's like, if that's not accurate, I got to change that. If Pierre Poilievre is just playing by the rules, if Pierre Poilievre is playing by the rules of what the referee says or what CBC says or what the media says, then how is he going to move the ball down the field? You know, how is he going to move the ball down the field? Basically, the referee says, the media says, oh, no, can't move the ball that way. Oh, no, can't move. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a racist. You're transphobic. We know how this is exactly how the media works. So it's a losing game by saying, oh, well, Pierre Poilievre has to listen to the media. Okay, so we're just going to lose then. We're just going to lose. So every time, picture this, every time that you hear a Conservative Party supporter just sitting over here saying, hey, man, we have to support Pierre Poilievre. Just realize that he's sitting down like this in the zone, in the same zone as Trudeau, playing a game with CBC being the referee. And Jagmeet Singh's there saying white people suck. Trudeau's there saying our history is racist. He's saying conservatives are like subhuman, basically. And then Pierre's there saying, I love immigrants. And this is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to win. Playing, like keeping the ball down in this end, because that's what the media says. We have to keep the ball down in this end, down near the touchdown of mass migration and the total dominance of the UN, worshiping trannies. We have to stay down in this end, guys. That's how we're going to win. This is just how stupid that is. Because if you haven't noticed, in the States, we know full well that it is against the, we need to be against the media. We need to be against the media by all means. And and people might say, oh, no, he can't do that. He's going to get canceled. He's going to get canceled. Just to kind of drive home what's possible. Boom. You have somebody like Trump. Okay. And sure, Trump's a controversial character, but guess what? He took the ball He took the Overton window in America, and he said stuff that people didn't think you were allowed to say. But he said them, and he moved the needle. He said things like this. He said, they're rapists. Okay? He said, they're rapists, moving the ball down this way towards nationalism. Okay? He said, he didn't say stop mass migration. He said, build a wall. Build a wall. Remember what I said of the things you saying is what moves the ball down the field? He also did a Muslim ban. You're not allowed to do that. Well, he did do that. And he had record support even in the election that he lost, apparently. He said things like lock her up. He said things like fake news. Fake news. He didn't care about the referees, the fake referees. He didn't care about that at all. And of course, he had a vision for the country, right? He had a vision, mega, right? It is possible. All it takes is a strong leader to show up and start saying the right things. Okay. So I will say one last point that I think is important for people who still might be on the fence after this little kind of display here. What do you lose by not supporting Pierre Poilievre? What do you lose by not supporting Pierre Poilievre? Or maybe let's reverse that. What do you gain by supporting him? By supporting him, you feel good, I guess. Maybe you feel like there's hope for the country. You feel like maybe you're going to get rid of Trudeau, I guess. Is that it? Because like I said, this guy is highly, highly suspect for moving the ball towards the establishment, but towards the progress, towards the United Nations side of the field. So by supporting him, you're just rewarding his cowardice. You're actually validating the media. You're validating what the media does. You're validating the CBC bias by saying, you know what? He's playing by the CBC rules, and I like that. I like that he's playing by the CTV and global news rules. That's what you're saying by supporting him. And by the way, you're still going to get called a conspiracy theorist if you didn't notice. He got called a conspiracy theorist by all these major news outlets in Canada the other day. So it doesn't work anyway. So you're supporting him. You're feeling good about it. Okay, but like, what's the result of supporting Pierre Poilievre? What do you get for it? Maybe you feel a little bit of hope. You feel like you might get Trudeau out. But that's it. Other than that, the result is you are rewarding an establishment politician for being a coward. You are rewarding someone who is playing a losing game, and it's the status quo. You're just supporting the exact status quo. It is not turning the country around whatsoever. I mean, sure, you can hold on to the things that he might change about the economy if he gets voted in and actually gets a large enough minority or majority to actually change things. But we're losing on every other metric: championing family values, nationalism, like actual conservative values. This guy can't even say that there's two different genders. Okay. Whereas when you don't support him, when you're not supporting him, what do you lose? You're not losing anything. You're not losing anything by not supporting him. And by supporting something else or by applying pressure, you're actually helping move the ball in the right direction, because you are honoring yourself. First of all, you're honoring your values, and that has the trickle effect of the people around you, of the people in your circle. And maybe, especially if you put your money where your mouth is by, checking out the PPC or checking out a movement that is going to push the ball further down the field in the right direction, that is going to eventually put pressure on Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party, because they take note of this, guys. They take note of this. If you move right, they're going to move right too. So by moving right and not supporting this guy, you are helping everybody. You're helping everybody out. And just by simply sitting there and supporting him and watching them play this inside baseball stupid game with CBC being the referee and him just being a coward because he can't get called names because he doesn't want to fight the media, it's not helping. It's not helping. It's not moving the ball anywhere. It's moving it closer towards total United Nations domination. Okay. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's so glad to be back. I'll look to see if there's any super chats. I think we're good though. I think we're good. Anyway, if you like the show, You can go to my website, gregwycliffe.com, where there's some donation links. I really appreciate you guys watching. I should have played that clip. Oh, well. It was a clip of Pierre Poilievre, who is basically lying about the trucker convoy, saying that the trucker convoy only had to do with the price of milk, basically. Maybe I'll actually play it before we go out. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Really glad that you could watch, and we're going to talk to you soon. Okay?
And that.
Let's give this a watch.
A lot of people were so helpless and so desperate, they ended up participating in a protest in Ottawa. This was an emergency that Justin Trudeau created by attacking his own population, by driving up their cost of living, by making it impossible for people to pay their bills and live their lives in peace. He caused the emergency that unfolded. And then when he caused it, he piled on, he poured more gasoline on the fire with nasty insults, jabbing his finger in the faces of his own citizens, something that even today's report acknowledged contributed to the length and the intensity of the protest. Everything feels broken in Canada, but we can fix it. And thus, a lot of people were so...
But we can fix it. That was him talking about the trucker convoy. Can you believe that? He does not mention vaccine mandates. He does not mention frozen bank accounts. He does not mention him being a tyrant whatsoever, that they were banning people from all sorts of places for their vaccination status. This guy's not fighting for us, and it's crystal clear. So support something else, and eventually he'll get it. Eventually he'll try to catch the ball again. Thanks for watching, guys. We're going to talk to you soon. Love you so much. And as always, it is more than okay to demand higher standards. Thanks for watching, guys.